Well, listen to this. Speaking of not laying hens, but laying people off.
or hangovers that are not going to go away.
That's right. Well, DOGE this week is laying off, get this, 3,600 probationary employees, 4,000 employees retained, and so then the savings is $600 million. So I guess a probationary doesn't mean they're on probation. It means that they were just recently hired and they're during this probationary period, which makes it easier for DOGE and the government to let go of them if they decide that their jobs are not necessary.
Well, and this is a guy with Elon Musk. We saw when he took over Twitter, I mean, he slashed a lot of the employees. It's still running just fine. But the biggest problem where we are right now as a country with our federal government, it's too big. This is not the original vision of America. We were supposed to have a decentralized government. That was the whole vision of the founding fathers. So what we have now is the antithesis of what America is supposed to be. And when government becomes so centralized and so big, it becomes corrupt.
Correct.
And that's what we're seeing. And that's what we saw with the Biden administration going after people under the FACE Act, going after its political opponents without fear. And so what this election is about is the American people taking their power back. It's a we the people election, and we're seeing a we the people administration.
Yeah, I think probably one of the most shocking things have been the things that we saw happening at USAID, which, by the way, we're going to have Glenn Greenwald on tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that. Who knew that so much money was being spent? I mean, we knew there was regime change operations going on, but they were to the tune of billions and billions and billions of dollars doing the work of the CIA through USAID, and nobody really, it was very opaque. Nobody knew what was going on. It also was going to NGOs, and, you know, we saw Hillary Clinton's daughter receiving a lot of money. There was a lot of things that have come up, and I think the American people, and you see the polling, are on board with this. It's hard to believe that these Democrats think they can sing their way out of this, because the American people are on board with it.
Yeah, who would possibly be against making the government more efficient? And as much as we'd like to just snap our fingers and fix all of it, the truth of the matter is it's going to happen by not hiring new employees, by extending buyouts to current employees. It's going to be a gradual thing, but it's going to make it more efficient. But what is snapping your finger is the Trump administration is finding all of these giant pots of gold that the Biden administration was hiding all over the place. Most recently, $1.9 billion in HUD money was just recovered after being misplaced, air quotes, during the Biden administration due to a broken process. These funds were earmarked for the administration of financial services, but are no longer needed. Secretary Turner and DOGE worked together to fix the issue and de-obligated the funds, which are now available for other use by the Treasury. The federal government is these agencies, they're the only... Any company on earth that operated like this would go out of business, and the people that ran the company would be put in jail.
What was the number again? Was that
1.9 billion?
That's like if we lifted the couch pillow cushions up here and we found $1.8 billion. I mean, I know how happy I get when I put my hand in a pocket and I go, oh my God, there's a $5 bill. I feel like I'm rich. This is what's happening all over the map. We're finding money under the cushions, in your pockets, and it's just sitting there getting either about to get funneled off to some NGO to employ, you know, Democrats in the next 4 years, or it's getting sent somewhere else, or it's going into the hands of criminals, because there's all these networks that have been set up to defraud us. We heard about the money that was being sent overseas as well in fraudulent payments of Social Security.
Well, and in a lot of instances, these NGOs are working against American interests. I mean, we've seen a lot of these aiding and abetting, basically human trafficking with, you know, these illegal aliens over the border as well. So, but I mean, you think about it too. I mean, look, it's like $1 trillion a year just on the interest on our debt alone, right? So we're over $36 trillion in debt. So even though with DOGE and all the savings that they're trying to find, we're just scratching the surface. That's how bad things have gone. But finally, they're taking this seriously.
And Democrats have been complaining, saying, well, it's not that much money. I mean, I don't see the clock turning on the debt clock. It's like every little bit counts. Meanwhile, I mean, here are the boomers, the aging boomers, singing about how horrible it is that we just found $1.8 billion under the couch cushion today. Listen.
I will lift you up when they push you down. I will raise my voice and stand my ground. Well, it looks like it might be a hard road, but I'm gonna it with you.
That's not the worst version we've heard, though. Right?
They're pretty bad.
I've heard worse.
They're all pretty
by them.
bad. They get worse and worse.
My favorite is all the clips from the hearings, like especially Pete's, and like the Democrat members just like yelling at him.
Yeah.
And they think that they're reliving the civil rights movement, which I think is really funny because
This is their civil rights movement?
Yeah, this is their civil rights movement. Civil federal employees who are unionized, shouldn't be unionized, by the way, but they're civil workers, bureaucrats in Washington, D.C., who spend all of your money. All of it paid for by you. And by the way, even if you were to make it as efficient as possible, a lot of them are doing things that we don't need that actually make life more terrible for people.
And there are people that are doing great stuff. So let's keep the people that are doing the good stuff, that keep the trains running, that keep the system running, and the checks paid to the military and the checks paid to our veterans. We need all that. Let's streamline, get rid of all the waste, find all these pots of money that are getting wasted away. I don't see how anybody could be against it. But one of the tactics that they're using besides singing is trying to separate Elon Musk and Donald Trump, this bro romance. That's romance. That's been going on. Here's President Trump talking about it to Sean Hannity. This is a tease, you guys, because next week the whole interview with Elon Musk and Donald Trump will air on Sean Hannity's show on Tuesday night. But here's Donald Trump talking about this tactic.
You're both aware, you have to be keenly aware, that the media and the punditry class, not that, I think you've proven they have no power anymore because they threw everything they had at you and they didn't win. And that was, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They threw everything, lawfare, weaponization. Sure. And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other. And they try, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That was over. They have many different things of hatred. Actually, Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, it's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you, a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
So what I love about what's happening right now with this, and then there you see Tuesday at 9 p.m. with Sean Hannity. That's going to be a must-watch TV right there. But what I love about this administration and President Trump is that he's an outsider. And for far too long, we've had people like Joe Biden, who's been government for like 50 years. I forget even how long.
His whole life.
Right. So how can you fix government when it's all you know, when you're insulated from the bad policy decisions that you've made? And so what I love about this is you have all these outsiders going in, all these disruptors who are taking a fresh viewpoint of government and how to fix it. And you see that with Elon going through this nonsense at USAID that you were pointing out, Rachel, and all this stuff. And he's probably going, how does the government operate like this? It's a mess.
He's running, what Donald Trump is doing is he's running this government like a company.
Yeah, great point.
Like a corporation.
And you have 2 people who are coming to it, both of whom are billionaires and have made fortunes for themselves before they came to government. And you have a guy like Joe Biden, who spent his entire life on a government salary in Washington, working as an employee of the federal government, in Congress, and he leaves, and his wife was a school teacher, and they leave Washington as millionaires. They've made a fortune in Washington off of their quote unquote service to the country. And you have these 2 guys. They don't need anything. They don't need to steal money from the government. They don't need to use the government or their service to make money off of it.
Yeah, that was always, by the way, service means hunter.
And it's always using under the guise of, foreign affairs, right? Because Joe Biden and his family enriched themselves on all these foreign dealings.
Yes.
You have the Clinton Foundation, you have the Biden Penn Center, right? So it's always under the guise of the shadowy foreign whatever.